All right, gang, we've made it. This is Alien versus Predator issue 4. And it's been one hell of a ride. And like I said, when we went over the first issue, and then when I finally found 2, 3, and 4, I've been in love with this story since I was a kid when I read the novelization. And yeah, this cover just so much nods to. I mean, if you go back and look at like the old 80s, 90s heavy metal magazine covers, right here. And this is the artwork that I miss, guys. I mean, just absolutely gorgeous work. Seeing Broken Tusk and Machiko here, and we know, just looking from all the mechanical, HR Giger stuff going on, that we are going to see some alien, nasty slug fest fighting in this issue. And if this page will let me turn, we will continue. This is Randy Stradley doing the writing, Chris Warner doing the penciling, Robert Campanella doing the inks, Pat Purcell letters, Monica Livingston colors, Dana Schutz. Editor, Dave Dorman, cover artist. And okay, so this, I know some people are probably going to say, hey, this isn't the cover artist. They're going to give me a hard time, which is fine. I'll just laugh. Yes, I still will stick to my guns when I say that I love when the interior artist does the cover. But just like to every rule, there is exceptions. And by God, this is too gorgeous to say that I wish this would change, because I don't. That's beautiful. It's not goofy. We're not seeing the alien or the predator looking like cute little Funko dolls playing on the slide or any bullshit like that, or just some random character like where, supposed to be like Batman #1 and it's like a random Batwoman cover. Like, what does that got to do with it? So anyway, we're going to get off the soapbox. We're going to get into the book and enjoy some action. So like with last issue, Machiko sees Broken Tusk. Her and Dr. Revna have escaped on the helicopter. They're trying to get to the rest of the colonists who have fled Prosperity Wells. But they see Broken Tusk hanging from this, I'm guessing, like satellite tower or whatever it is. And Dr. Revna says, we have to save him. And she's like, why? He's my patient. And of course, she's using the medical Hippocratic oath, do no harm to your patient. And Machiko, because she cares for Dr. Revna, starts to kind of shrug off her old past, where she says, I don't want to ally myself with losers. As we open up, this is, there are times when you're forced to make split-second decisions. Sometimes we choose wisely, and the results please us. Other times, our choices get us in trouble. And one thing, we've gone over it, but I cannot remember who wrote Alien Genocide, nor the latter half of Aliens. What was that called? Was the Female War? I can't remember. Anyway, because we've gone over the latter half of the original Earth Wars comics. I'm still trying to find the first two, which were, if you guys know where I can get them, please let me know. I'd rather have the original singles and not the omnibus, because I think I flipped through the omnibus at one time in history. And I could be wrong. Feel free to correct me. But I think it was the version that I read, at least, I think changed the names from Hicks and Newt to Wilkes and Billy. And I don't want that in the comic version. I have the novelizations by Steve Perry, and unfortunately, that's where the changes are. And that's where I want it to stop. I was going somewhere with that. Oh, anyway. So from that part of the Earth War through Genocide and also to this series, where they use the juxtaposition and contrasting, where we're seeing Machiko's thoughts. However, her thoughts echo the actions that Broken Tusk has taken, thinking it'd be a good idea to try to get to the high ground. And he's basically on death's door with all these Xenos coming in after him, and then the Rynth stampeding below. So each Alien book from this era from Dark Horse that I've read, I just love that. It just adds layer upon layer in terms of both visual and narrative storytelling. I don't know whether the decision to rescue the Broken Tusk warrior was a good choice or a bad one. I do know it was a crazy one. It was an impossible rescue. Even a trained pilot would have balked. But the warrior had proved himself different from those of his kind. who had killed Hiroki and the others by saving Miriam's life. And like Hiroki, he refused to give up fighting. I can respect that. And so it says, grab on the strut. We'll take you to safety. And she's saying, Miriam, this is a waste. He doesn't understand us. And all of a sudden, boom. But unfortunately, as Broken Tusk grabs on, one of the Xenos jumps, which spins the carrier out of control. And finally, after it's seen, we know that both Scott and Tom are ticking time bombs at this point. It puts her on a like a literal collision course with these two. And if you remember from the first issue, it was, I think it was him, I can't remember the time, but one of them gets a little too intoxicated and tries to make advances on her to the point where she kicks. He goes, it's a copter, it's coming this way. I think they see us, Tom. I should have guessed it'd be you. You're lucky you're alive, lady. Jesus, who the hell taught you to fly? No one yet. And unfortunately, Dr. Revna. And even though, like I said, go and read the novelization. And I say that because even though comics, you don't want to get over, encumbered with words. And in terms of visual medium, just seeing Broken Tusk here, no words whatsoever, holding her like that, it's powerful. Because we see that instead of, as we saw, with Predator, both 1 and 2. Well, with 2 we got a little more, but with 1, where the Predator would just straight out slaughter it. Here we see that Broken Tusk is making no move to fight any of these people. Carries her because she tended. He notices, and in the novel it says he notices that she was a healer. And so Machiko's on the verge of breaking down. And Tusk uses the voice recorder that they use. It says, grab the strut, we'll pull you to safety. And that's just enough to kind of create this bond. But in the novelization, as I said, there's a lot more to it. So if you want, think of it like a director's cut in a sense, I guess, because it really does add a lot of layers. Even though less is more, there's a lot of impact. Now, as I said, they got in the collision course with Scott and Tom. They find a place to try to hold out against the Xenomorphs. And now remember, when Machiko in issue 2, the last half of issue 2 and issue 3, she sees that Predator warrior, the Yautja warrior, jump in the midst of all the Xenomorphs. And she says he's good. But she can tell he's green because he's going too fast, just wants the glory. And it costs him his life. And that's when she first uses the line, I don't align myself with losers. It leaves him to be killed. So in a sense, we get an echo here in issue 4. It goes, I half expected a replay of the last battles I'd seen earlier. But the Broken Tusk warrior was no inexperienced novice. He measured every step, timed every strike. The outcome of the tower battle was never in doubt. I just didn't have time to wait. And so this builds, as you're watching these panels, without any extra words whatsoever. We see that these two are building a relationship where Broken Tusk is the one that was supposed to train all these new Yautjas, so he's a seasoned warrior, and he's starting to notice one in Chico. Now they sent off, because she works for the Chigusa Corporation. This isn't anything to really do with Weyland Yutani in this book. They sent a cry for help for the Marines to come and save them. So they checked the communications, and it says, most immediate request for Marine intervention denied. Take steps to preserve all specimens of species described in Revna's report. Proceed with measures to ensure safety of all personnel, but take no action against living XT specimens. Await instructions from Chigusa Corporation, whatever, Chigusa, whatever. But they're like, yeah, screw that, because we see that they just want these things for bioweapons, as every corporation in Alien. But anyway, unfortunately, taking time bomb happens. I don't want to spoil too much, that's why they have this here. But it dawns on Scott what's happening and why they were able to escape. She goes, we were together on the lector. That means I've got one inside me too. My life's over. Leave me alone. You're not dead yet, Conover. We still need your help. We're all in this. And if I don't help you, you think you can threaten me now? No, but maybe I can help you. Help me. How? You a doctor? Gonna perform surgery and make me all better? But you can have a shot at revenge. Comes, I can make it quicker, easier. So essentially, he gives her as a parting gift schematics of. And so she's thinking, this is a big rig. And kind of like with Ripley's thought, we need to nuke it from orbit. It's the only way to make sure. They go into the heart of the Lecter to find an emergency escape pod and the self-destruct button. Our job would have been a simple one if the communication systems in the ops center had been operational. But my copter ride had thrashed the main antenna. Strandberg and Conover's plan required an off-planet transmission, and that meant a trip to the Lecter. Bug Central. And just scrunch, and they ram right into the freaking Queen. My God, that must have been Mama Bug. This way. Here's Conover's going away present. I hope we can get a chance to use it. Hold the fort. I'll be back when I'm done. So while she's going to set all this up, of course, Broken Tusk covers her 6. And what I like is you thinking that car ride smashed the Queen Alien. So we're getting that moment of, oh boy, what's Big Mama gonna do here? And of course, it leads into giant ass battle. And I don't want to give too much away. Of course, heroes prosper. And at the end, he has a moment with. We see he uses his voice recorder, says, hold the fort. I'll be back when I'm. And we see he pulls the Queen Alien's hand off and brands Machiko. And again, using comics visual storytelling, less is more here. But again, I'm just going to insert that the novelization really adds depth. Like Stephen Perry did not. Sorry about that, guys. Let me wham the camera. Stephen Perry added depth because we get Broken Tusk's thoughts, and he's saying this is important. I wish that we could communicate. We could learn so much from each other, but I need to mark her. This is important. She is a student. And the only other thing about this book that drives me nuts that I got from the novelization is we see that Machiko's now has his mark. But we still know her, again, as Machiko. We find out, because they actually try to talk. And what does it say? Broken Tusk in the book says, well, I want to talk more. I want to learn more from her, but we got to get this done. And we find out that when he realizes that she's a badass, he starts calling her, I'm probably going to slaughter this, so feel free to make fun of me. Like, he starts calling her Datuti, which means, in the Yautja language, little knife. And that becomes her name. And from there on, she goes by Datuti. And when she meets up with the predators later, and they see her mark, and she tries to say her name, that's a whole other thing. But that's the only really missing thing from this comic that I wish would have originally been in here. So I don't know if Stephen Perry, oh my God, you guys know what I'm trying to say. I don't know if he talked to the original writers of the comic or if that was just something he inserted himself. But if you look at Xenopedia, it references that she is called Little Knife. And it just would have been nice to see it here in the pages of the original. So with that said, I wanted to try to insert what I could remember from the novelization. If you want us to go over it on the After Dark channel, let us know, because it's still both. The original one means a lot to me. The second novelization, it's good, but still, like with any sequel, it pills. So, guys, with that said, this is Aliens versus Predator Part 4. And this is the original AVP. As I talked about in the other parts of this review, that's why the movies pissed me off so much, is because they just bastardized everything. I would have loved to seen a live action introduction of Machiko Noguchi. And that's why I keep saying with all these other iterations that Fox keeps doing of the Yautja and the Xenomorph, they're just shit in the bed when they've had years upon years of comic material to pull from. We could have gotten the, what do you call it? We could have gotten the Earth War and would have had X amount of movies with Hicks and Ripley and Newt leading into new characters like Genocide, Alex Lee. And then again, we would have gotten Machiko. But instead, they're just doing their own thing, saying, oh, well, this movie is going to take place between Alien and Aliens. This movie is going to take place between the time that Ripley got out of the cryo-freeze chamber, took a piss, and fed Jones. That's how short of this time frame. You guys get my point and why I'm so pissed off about it. These comics are special and are definitely part of our modern. If you guys have enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or wherever it's like to get your action figures and comics, and pick it up either in singles, collected trade, and also just to get some more insight, get the novelization as well. And if you've enjoyed this review, really would appreciate taking a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy little Yautja bell, next subscribe. That is where you get to upload content. You guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I love talking with y'all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments or the socials, which I'll make sure the links down in the description. So with all that said, hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone.